Alright, let's react to this XXXtentacion, see exactly what they said about each guy. Yo, I seen not a time to laugh, but academics put up a funny ass edit. I fell down to my knees when the law came. And it had the truth teller, Robert Williams, pointing his fingers at all three of them. And they were just standing up like, bow, bow.
I fell down to my knees when the law came. Man, I fell down to my knees when the law came. Man, I fell down to my knees when the law came. Man, I fell down to my knees when the law came. Man, I fell down to my knees when the law came. Man, I fell down to my knees when the law came. Man, I fell down to my knees when the law came. Man, I fell down to my knees when the law came. Man, I fell down to my knees when the law came.
3 men have found guilty of the 2018 murder of rapper XXXtentacion, who was shot in the broad daylight in South Florida while being robbed of $50K. Michael Boatwright, 28, Deirdre Williams, 26, Trayvon Newsom, 24, were all found guilty of first-degree murder and armed robbery by a jury. After 7 days of deliberation, they will receive mandatory life sentences at a later date. That's crazy, bro. It's not even like, yo, spontaneously they could face up to. Now they will receive mandatory life sentences. I'm sure if they would have just pled guilty, they would have received something else, a couple years, maybe, I don't know, something different. They must have offered them something, but they took it to trial. And when you take it to trial, you know they're gonna try to hit you over the head. This is just sad, because not only at the end of the day did they take XXXtentacion away from us, these guys are all super young. Not even one of them was 30 years old. 28 was the oldest one, and that's Michael Boatwright, who I believe pulled the trigger. It's just super sad to see. Super sad to see. I miss JAH every single day. All right, let's get straight into this and see what's popping.
In the Circuit Court of the 17th Judicial Circuit in Fort Broward County, Florida, the state of Florida versus Deirdre Williams, verdict count 1. We, the jury, find as follows: as to the defendant, Deirdre Williams, in this case, the defendant is guilty of murder in the first degree as charged in the indictment. Count 2.
You know what this tells me? His whole Drake shit didn't work. Because wasn't his lawyer the dude trying to say, but we don't know where Drake was. He was throwing shots on sicko mode. He was just trying to blame this shit on anything possible. He was like, DNA was all over that chain. Deirdre Williams was not one of them. His girlfriends was on there. Everybody else trying to just point the fingers to mad other shit. It looked like none of that worked. That's what happens when you get a public defender.
We, the jury, find as follows: as to the defendant, Deirdre Williams, in this case, the defendant is guilty of armed robbery as charged in the indictment.
It's so crazy how it's been almost, well, no, not almost, it has been 5 years since we lost XXXtentacion. It's just crazy because he was so new and so fresh, and bro, so like I was obsessed with X's music when he came into the game. It was just a new sound that I loved, and it just felt like that moment was just so fast. Like I literally remember 2016 to 18 going crazy with X's music, and that's all we had. And then all over that, over 50 bands. These guys lost their life and will spend the rest of it mandatory in prison. We don't even know how probation works. Is it life without parole? Like how does that whole thing work? It's just sad to see.
Count 1. We, the jury, find as follows: as to the defendant, Michael Boatwright, in this case, the defendant is guilty of murder in the first degree as charged in the indictment. During the course of the crime committed, did the defendant, Michael Boatwright, actually possess a firearm? Yes. During the course of the crime committed, did the defendant, Michael Boatwright, actually discharge a firearm? Yes. During the course of the crime committed, did the defendant, Michael Boatwright, actually inflict death to JAH as a result of discharging a firearm in his possession? Yes. Count 2. We, the jury, find as follows: as to the defendant, Michael Boatwright, in this case, the defendant is guilty of armed robbery as charged in the indictment. During the course of the crime committed, did the defendant...
Now, like, it's just crazy because every time that I see Michael Boatwright, I just think about, they didn't really have that much evidence on him other than those pictures. It really shows that if Robert Williams didn't talk, would they have the case that they had? We'll revisit that at the end of this video, but always keep it in mind. Like, while I've been watching all this stuff happening, I'm like, would they have had a strong case like they had if Robert Williams would have never worked with the government or worked with the actual prosecutors to get the other guys in prison and point the fingers due to the robbery? Like, do you guys think they still would have had it? They all had masks on. I don't really know what other evidence they had on them. I know they had pictures, and I believe their cell phones were traced to the scene, but that's really all they had.
Michael Boatwright actually possessed
I believe Robert
a
Williams
firearm?
putting everything together
Yes.
was a huge win for
During
him.
the course of the crime committed, did the defendant, Michael Boatwright, actually discharge a firearm?
He never walked inside Reeves Sports. Remember,
During the course of the crime committed, did the defendant Michael Boatwright actually inflict death to JAH as a result of discharging a firearm in his possession? Yes. Verdict, count one. We, the jury, find as follows as to the defendant Trayvon Newsom in this case. The defendant is guilty of murder in the first degree as charged in the
He's already ready to get it. All right, cool. Let me just stand up. All right, guilty.
indictment.
Also, that's a bad suit.
During the course of the crime committed, did the defendant Trayvon Newsom
So
actually...
they stand up, all right, to put the cuffs on him. I was thinking it just so you could see what they were talking about. It's just you're arrested as of right now. You will spend the rest of your life in prison. That's a sick feeling.
Possess a firearm? Yes. Count two, we, the jury, find as follows as to the defendant Trayvon Newsom in this case. The defendant is guilty of armed robbery as charged in the indictment. During the course of the crime committed, did the defendant Trayvon Newsom actually possess a firearm? Yes. So say we all, this 20th day of March, 2023 at Fort Lauderdale, Broward County, Florida.
That's crazy. So think about it. Robert painted the picture, as I've been calling him the truth teller. He painted the picture and actually explained what happened, why they were inside the car, why they went inside to get the mask, how they were trying to rob people all day. He painted it and actually brought it all to one. I don't believe that the case would have been as clear as it was without him cooperating. But that's crazy to see, and that's crazy to also say. I'm just shocked thinking of this shit. Like, this is just crazy. And look at him. This was the one, like, you can see their lawyers' faces. Look at their lawyers' faces after you're read guilty. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. That's the lawyer right there that I was talking about the entire time. He's the one that was wasting his time trying to bring out a whole bunch of YouTube conspiracy theories. Like, he was watching videos just like us and trying to bring that to court. I would have been there like, I'm guilty for sure. Like, as soon as this guy would have started talking about Drake and 2 Chainz and where Antonio Brown was, and oh Lord, I'm going to prison. This nigga's been wasting his time on YouTube.
Two, we, the jury, find as follows as to the defendant's degree as charged in the indictment. As to the defendant, Dedrick Williams, in this case, the defendant...
Remember, it was him and Big Boy. The one that actually ended up telling is the one that you see in the video with X, and they walk inside Riva Motorsports. The other two were never seen. They were just put in the picture after other ones were arrested. So it kind of shows, like, without them telling, would the case have been figured out?
...is guilty of murder in the first degree as charged in the indictment. Count two.
All I can say is... I know people say you shouldn't wish prison for no one. I would like to say if they did what they did, but they were already found guilty for what they did. And it's like all the evidence did point their way. You guys know I never try to look at something biased. I always try to look at both angles. This shit was really hard for me to look at both angles. Yes, I'm an X fan, but also I do common sense. And it's like everything was pointing the fingers right at them. What is the odds that they walked inside, looked at X, look outside? They're on the phone the entire time too. You see, as soon as they walk by X, they're like, I bet. They're on the phone. They go cop the mask. They go back outside. The car comes in and blocks them. I'm like, come on, bro. All that shit pointed the finger to them. Dudes under 30 years old just ruined their life over $50,000 that they'll never be able to spend. And also 50,000 divided by 4 is chump change. Like, is it worth your life? Hell no. It's not even worth a year in prison for me, no cap. I wouldn't even if I kept the whole 50 bands to myself, that's not even worth the year in prison. This is disgusting. Rest in peace, XXXtentacion. I will forever be a fan. I will forever make sure I let his music live forever on this channel. I will forever keep bringing up his name. And it's just sad to see the way that young man lost his life. Rest in peace.